All right, today we're diving into a prophecy that absolutely blew up online. It grabbed attention from all over the world and kicked off a huge debate. It's a fascinating story about unshakable certainty, a deadline that came and went, and what happened next. So let's get into it.
Can you believe it? Those are the actual words from the man who made the prediction, Mr. Joshua, right at the moment it was supposed to happen. I mean, that's a wild admission, and it's what really sparked the whole controversy we're about to unpack.
And that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? We're going to look at the original claim, the really surprising explanation that popped up after the date passed, and then the scriptural fact check that challenged the whole thing. It's a real clash between personal revelation and biblical text.
Okay, so to really get what's going on here, we've got to rewind to the very beginning. This wasn't some vague hunch. It was a very specific claim, made with an incredible amount of confidence by Mr. Joshua.
1,000,000,000%. Not 100, 1,000,000,000. That's how certain Mr. Joshua said he was. He claimed he had a face-to-face encounter with Jesus, who told him the rapture was going down on September 23rd and 24th, 2025. This wasn't his interpretation. He presented it as a direct message, period.
But then the dates passed, and well, nothing happened. On a live broadcast, Mr. Joshua even said he himself was surprised. So, of course, the big question was, how could something he was 1,000,000,000% sure of, something he said was a direct message, just not happen?
Okay, so in the immediate aftermath, you've got people all over the world who are confused, they're looking for answers, and a new story starts to form. It wasn't a retraction, but what was framed as a clarification.
So the story goes that in the early hours right after the missed deadline, Mr. Joshua went to God for answers, and the response he says he got was this new, much vaguer timeline, days from now. It's a clever move, right? It shifts the focus from a specific failure in the past to a still imminent but now undefined future event. Just look at this timeline. It really shows you the journey of this whole thing. You start with the super specific dates, September 23rd and 24th. Then, after that doesn't pan out, it changes to this mysterious days from now. And finally, it lands on a brand new set of dates, October 7th and 8th, all thanks to a totally new piece of the puzzle. So how in the world did we get from days from now to October 7th and 8th? Well, according to Mr. Joshua, it wasn't a new prophecy, it was a new understanding of the calendar. And this is where the debate gets really technical. Mr. Joshua's side argues the original dates were right along, but on the Julian calendar. And if you convert that, you get October 7th and 8th. But the fact-checkers call this a category error, a fundamental mistake, saying, hey, biblical feasts have their own calendar, the Hebrew calendar. The Julian and Gregorian ones we use for civil life just don't apply.
Now, Mr. Joshua pushes back hard on the idea that he's moving the goalposts. He frames this whole thing not as a correction, but as him getting a fuller revelation. He even brings up scripture, we know in part, then in full, implying the first prophecy was true, but just incomplete, and this new calendar info was the part that made it full.
So with two completely different explanations out there, both sides naturally went straight to the Bible to prove their point. So let's take a look at the biblical arguments they're actually using. And you can see right away, they're playing two different games here. Mr. Joshua uses parallels from other Bible stories, like Noah waiting on the ark, or the parable about the bridegroom showing up late, to say, see, there's a history of delays. The other side, though, ignores the stories and goes right to what they say is a direct command in Deuteronomy, arguing it's the only test that matters. For the fact-checkers, it all boils down to this one verse. It's like their golden rule. The logic is incredibly simple. If someone makes a prediction in God's name, and that thing doesn't happen when they said it would, the Bible itself says that message wasn't from God. It's a clear pass-fail test. And it doesn't stop there. The counter-argument also leans on these verses. I mean, you've got Jesus himself in Matthew saying, no one knows the day or the hour. He tells his own apostles in Acts, it's not for you to know times or seasons. And then you have the apostle Paul saying it'll come like a thief in the night, totally unpredictable. So they argue that setting any specific date is, by its very nature, going against what the Bible teaches.
So after all the claims, the calendar gymnastics, and the Bible verses, where does that leave us? Well, we're left with two completely different, totally opposing conclusions about what just happened.
Let's just break it down. When it comes to the prophecy, you've got Mr. Joshua saying the message was always true. We just misunderstood the calendar. The fact-checkers say, nope, it failed the biblical test, full stop. On the new date, one side sees it as the real imminent rapture, while the other sees it as moving the goalposts. And as for certainty, one view is based on getting a direct, fuller revelation, while the other says the whole point of Scripture is to be watchful because you can't know the date.
And in the end, this is the question this whole thing really puts on the table for everyone. What do you do when belief and evidence seem to be in direct conflict? It forces a choice between a personal, ongoing revelation and the written tests found in Scripture. It's a debate about faith, interpretation, and accountability. And it leaves the final decision and the path forward up to each individual to figure out.